I welcome all of you to the webinar today. We have with Chairperson, Syrian Network for Human Rights, Mr. Fadl Abdul Ghani. And my name is Luqman Said. I am the Network Development Coordinator at Every Casualty Worldwide. And on behalf of the Board of Trustee, I welcome all of you to this event. And in fact, before I proceed, I would invite the chairperson of the Board of Trustee of Every Casualty Worldwide, Professor Michael Spaggett, to say a few words.
Thank you very much, Luqman. I don't want to delay things too much, but I just would like to welcome you all, and then just mention a couple of things. One is for those of you who are following our Twitter feed like hawks, you will have noticed this already, but we're now searching for a new executive director for the organization. So if any of you are interested in this or know somebody who is interested in this position, please step forward or encourage that person to step forward. And if you could amplify this call, it would be greatly appreciated. And second, I expect to be in touch with some of you shortly about a new project to develop tools for casualty recording. And that's all I'll say about it for now, and hand it back to Luqman.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Mike. So I'll introduce my speaker today, Mr. Fadl Abdul Ghani. He established Syrian Network for Human Rights back in June 2011. So he and his organization has been there from the start of the Syrian conflict. And one of the highly respected organizations doing casualty recording in Syria. And their work actually has been, their data has been, has been discussed in forums such as the United Nations and the European Union. In fact, their data from Syria is one of the most frequently cited data on the civilian casualties in the Syrian conflict. So, before I just want to make a couple of quick points. So, the structure of today's webinar is that Mr. Abdul Ghani, he will have like 20-25 minutes to make his presentation at the start, and then afterwards we'll have a question and answer session. And so, if you have any question related to the topic today, please feel free to post them in the chat box. And I'll be more than happy to actually post it to the to our speaker at the appropriate time. So I think before, without wasting any further time, so in the meantime, I would keep each and everyone muted, just to keep things, all smooth. And so I think before, without wasting any further time, I would like to invite Fazal to please go ahead with this presentation.
Thank you very much indeed, and for
Fazal, can you speak a little louder? I guess maybe you're a little away from the mic.
Yeah, sure. Now, is it clear now or still?
It's getting better now.
Is it better?
Yes. So maybe our participants can write it in the chat box. Can you hear Fazal clearly, or maybe we? I mean, I can hear you clearly now, by the way.
Okay, sounds great. So thanks again for this kind invitation and for organizing such an event. And we are at SNHR honored to be one of the founders of the Every Casualty Worldwide. I prepared for this event an essay, and I hope that that we will be able to publish it on Every Casualties Worldwide website and on our website as well, so all of our members can have a look and can also maybe feedback with any reviews or comments. So what I'm planning to do at this event, due to a very complex information and sequence, I'm gonna to rely on the essay in front of me, and then we'll open the floor for discussion, as Luqman said. Actually, I have in my essay 5 main aspects. First aspect is the initial stages of documentation process and building a network of relationships with families, activists, and eyewitnesses. The second, the building electronic program that help in documentation and archiving process and developing it. Third, the entry of multiple parties to the conflicts and the development of the methodology. Fourth, the most notable challenges facing the documentation process. Fifth, what has Syrian Network for Human Rights presented with regard to the issue of extrajudicial killing? So if I jump to the first point, the initial stages of documentation process and building a network of relationships with families, activists, and eyewitnesses. On March 18, 2012, the Syrian regime killed unarmed civilians who were among the demonstrators and activists demanding freedom from tyranny, operations, and injustice of security services, and to live with dignity and to live with dignity. This was a shock for me and for many Syrians as well. We thought that this cannot continue, and that as soon as a picture of dead are transmitted to international community in 21st century, will not allow a repetition of what Assad regime did in Hama 1982. Sorry. Unfortunately, I was wrong, and over the following days and weeks, extrajudicial killing continued. It has been expanded, and I didn't notice during that period there were periodic reports of daily death toll. It draws up a list of their names and places death. During that period, I individually contacted the human rights organizations that were present, but most of them did not respond and had other priorities, as some of them expected the Syrian regime to end soon. Continued killing, as well as detention and enforced disappearance, and the absence of cumulative effort to document and archive killing constitute an incentive for me to establish SNHR. At the beginning of June 2011, and I wanted from this establishment actually to accurately document the casualties, then circulated to the various media and some international bodies in an effort to communicate facts documented with the greatest accuracy and professionalism, which enabled the international community, in particular civilized country and the UN, to build on this documentation and to interfere to protect civilians, stop killing, and deter the Syrian regime from continuing committing extrajudicial killing. This was our pivotal goal. The process of building the team was carried out, which mostly volunteers activists, and was based on a direct relationship and communication. And from the first day, I tried to take in account a geographical distribution process, especially in the hard point that is the ones that witnesses more demonstration, and thus the casualties are more likely, as most of the victims were demonstrators. And the second degree during the house raids to arrest demonstrator with the aim of killing them directly. And the most of the activists were demonstrate or media professionals and who photographed the demonstration with their phones and camera are finally were some of coordinators of demonstration. And when citizen was killed, the name of transferred to a Skype room or group. At the beginning of the popular movement, dozens of Skype rooms were created. We had a group for casualties cases, as well. We built other group for arbitrary arrest and enforced disappearances. In this group, actually, which was a type of machine, and activists from the same region, maybe different activists who doesn't know each other. And so we start collecting data and information and exchange the news, cross-referencing with external sources as well, and all published photos and videos and the news about killing incident are collected, which enabled us to cross-reference as much information as possible. After the verification process is completed by activates by confirming the photos or videos in which the killed person appeared and identify his name and trying to communicate with his family, friends, or the hospital, and there was and still is the verity. The data were have recorded between one cases and another due to those criteria and the challenges. We prepare a list of name and data of casualties that have been registered, and then we corresponded with the media and international organization, including the Office of the High Commissioner, and later on the Commission of Inquiry, the International Commission of Inquiry, the COI, with the list of casualties, which include the daily tool and the places where casualties were killed, their names, picture and videos, and if it's available. As I mentioned, there is a variety of between the cases. In addition to that, this does not mean that the list is final. Rather, we often receive more information in the following days. So the list being written in a Word file, and this file named by the name of the day. So each Word file carried the date of the day. By following days, we keep receiving information, we keep digging, we keep following in order to get further information. And we might get also different type of information, and we need to compare this contradiction or discrepancy between those information, and we just fixed in our database the verified cases. The private or the field hospitals confirm sometimes that so and so is still alive. And that make us maybe change what we recorded in the previous day. So this documentation process continue and accumulates. We may obtain additional photos or personal information such as his work, his religion, and so on. And by end of each month, we have about between 30 or 31 Word document, and then we enter this to an Excel sheet. So we at this process, we still doing a manual work, which is a very hard and tough. As the days progress, I'm trying to jump and to move, but all essay will with the details will be published as I mentioned. As the day progressed and the popular movement expand and included new areas, which mean security forces entered those areas and more casualties fallen. And with every explanation, we were keen to build a relation with these areas and building a relationships, actually building a relationship originally linked with the occurrence of violation. So wherever there is occurrence violation or violation taking place, we must build a relationship. So this originally linked. The volunteer could no longer carry out various tasks and monitoring and trying to reach eyewitnesses' survival. So we moved ahead toward the institutional work and by fully devoted work, as we have organized field researcher for each main governorates, and each field researcher worked to expand the network of relationships and sources. Some of them actually has a network reach a few thousand. The ongoing process of publishing casualties news that have undertaken, issuing periodic reports, keeping us with the media, referring to SNHR from international organization, including the High Commissioner of Human Rights, and the continuity of work. All of those has earned us credibility and reliability among the members of Syrian community. And we receive the news via Skype, email, social media from additional sources, the families of victims, the eyewitnesses. That means that we move to other level or to the next stage, and we start and we began to receive a news. At the previous stage, we are the one who's seeking and following the news, and that actually enhance our capability, and that enable us for a second level of verification and cross-checking, and actually enable us to even like get sources which we are not the one who is connected with. So with the accumulation of days, weeks, and months, the network of relation expanded and extended to include the various Syrian governorates, the main one, and this is our main source of strength. Without cooperation of families and survivors, we will not be able to document the extrajudicial killing, and the teamwork has become more organized, and the task can be summarized as following. The first one, follow up the daily events that caused casualties and which considered extrajudicial killing. Second, attempting to reach the location of incident and communicate with primary sources, including families of victims, eyewitnesses, in addition to taking or obtaining picture videos about the casualties and the location of the incident. In some cases, the researcher able to visit the incident site, but rarely that happened due to the everyday security risk, a large number of incidents of violation, and also the result of limited human and material capability. Third, daily archiving and verified casualties data. Fourth, store and archive the photos and videos clips related to each incident on special servers. Fifth, all incidents are subjected to review process and investigation process continue, and in all events that additional information, more accurate information or error are discovered, we will update the database again. Six, the data added to SNHR database are kept securely, and we store several backup copies in additional or in different places. These stages became more difficult and complex in an incident or of massacres or the fall of a large number of casualties in close bombing incident at once, as additional factors add to difficulties of documentation process, such as of various type of weapons, the use of double strikes tactic, and the demolition and damage of building, which lead to a major change in shape of places. The second aspect is the building electronic programs that help in documentation and archiving process and developing it. With the increase of daily and monthly death toll, which reach thousands per month, as killing of victims was a part of a large-scale attack by Syrian regime and become systematic by Syrian regime forces and militia fighting with it mainly. And this was through the use of tanks, artillery, then warplanes, and the throwing of barrel bombs, Scud missiles, chemical weapons, and amount to crimes against humanity. According to high rate of killing, it has become difficult to rely on Excel program, especially since the possibility of sorting it are limited. And the manual entry process takes lots of time, and there is a high possibility of making mistake while copying data. Based on that, we thought to move toward programming language, and we prepared a program through the MySQL language, which read the Word file and enter them directly. And the program also sorts casualties, where each province is sorted, and sorting it done by gender or other like categories. But in order for this to be happened, the data must be written in the Word file accordingly a specific formula, meaning that there is no substitute for manual work in the Word file, but the program has canceled the manual entry process into the Excel file, and also allows us, after input process, to perform analysis, and storing that is very is very proud, sorry, and include storing according the type of weapons within the specific city and specific period, and we can thus sort the death toll according to governorates which killing occurred, and according to governorate which the casualties also belongs, which enabled us, why we did that, actually, to show the extent of loss and violation that, and the scale of violence that people of that governorates have suffered comparing with other governorates. And this helps in the need assessment and in the area most affected, and thus the highest priority in restoring the social rift and other process of the transitional justice process. And the program also exported what we want to an Excel sheet. The process of building such a program was not easy. Rather, it took many months to work on it, and it underwent continuous developing by director of our IT department, in addition to adding more improvement to it due to the entry of new parties in the conflict, and or due to the use of new type of weapons. So each process of methodology development must be reflected or accompanied by a program modification process. A final point in this aspect, the data is subject to an audit process after we enter the data to the program, and that's to ensure that it's entered correctly. And we recently carried out a comprehensive review process for the data, especially during the first months and years, due to the nature of volunteer work in that period, and the fall of large number of casualties in one day. Some days reach 350 people, as well as the importance of subjecting the database to comprehensive review and trying to search for additional information and evidence for each cases. Moving to the third, I'm sorry, it's a bit like complicated, but this is how we build it, and I know it's a complex history and process. Moving to the third, this is the stage where the entry of multiple parties to the conflict and the development of the methodology. As we all know, at the beginning of the popular movement, the Syrian regime was the only perpetrator of human rights violations in Syria, as it's still the largest perpetrator of the vast majorities of violation. And with the development events, other groups entered the Syrian conflict that committed multiple violations. Therefore, SNHR has classified the parties that committed violation in Syria according to their distinction from each other, or their actions in the interest of a specific party. According to the object, the background, the dominate.
Sorry, Fazil, just to let you know, maybe we've got like 5 more minutes. Would that be okay? So that we can move to the question and answer session. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, sure.
Right, thank you.
5 minutes.
Yeah,
I will be moving ahead. Then we'll leave some for the question. Okay. I was saying that several parties being entered. So we have now 8 main parties: Syrian regime. We have Democratic Union Party forces. This is the PYD, the Kurdish forces. This is the branch of Kurdistan Workers' Party. We have the Syrian opposition forces, include all opposition factions, and this factions being developed actually until recently built the National Army, which is backed by the Turkish government. Then we have the Islamic extremist groups such as Al-Nusra, Hayat Tahrir Sham, which is categorized by the UN as a terrorist group. We have also ISIS. We have the US-led coalition and the Russian forces. We have also other type of categories, which is anonymous one, which is the one which we are unable to identify who is the perpetrator. And that's happened mainly with the landmines and the remote bombings. Moving ahead in this, due to the time, I'll move to to the challenges. Mainly the security factors is the main aspects. There is other challenges, which is the long cutting of electricity, internet, and such types. But recent couple, mainly the past 2 years, we faced the frustration and the lack of cooperation from the Syrian community in the documentation process. And also the fatigue of the team themselves, as of course the team is suffered due to keep following the photos and picture and displacement, all of those type of violation. The final point is our like what we did as SNHR. I think that we try, as due to our capacity and logistic and all of that, to reflect the extrajudicial killing situation in Syria by issuing a daily death toll casualties since 9 years. So we have almost every day we have a casualties report. If there is a few days actually without, unfortunately, without recording casualties. And then we have a monthly report detailing the death toll in the previous month. We have biannual report. We have annual report. Dozens of news, and we have thematic report. We include the extrajudicial killing, highlighting in all statistics the women and the children. And we have reflected the database in an interactive chart and maps on our website, showing the casualties by governorates, gender, age, perpetrator, to showing the scale. Actually, it's very much important to highlight the percentage. And we have SNHR is periodically send us a special form to the United Nations Special Reporter on the extrajudicial killing. SNHR contribute with all of the High Commissioner statistics and SNHR quoted as a primary source, and also contributed and shared data with other UN bodies as well, including the casualties from children to UNICEF and to other international human rights organizations. Thank you very much, and I'm sorry that I exceed my time.
No, that's all right, Fazil. We can, I think, without wasting any time, we can move to question and answers session. So we have question from Michael Spaggett. I hope you can see it in the chat box. And the question is about if you could provide, direct access to at least some version of the data on your website. So could you help us explain, like, what kind of, you actually just said that you provide the charts and the actual output. So maybe you want to say a word on
yes,
this.
Sure. Let me share the screen if you wish, and they can see what I meant. Okay.
If anybody else had any question, please feel free to type it in the chat box, or maybe you want to speak. I can unmute.
I don't know if the screen being shared.
Okay, so somebody else has a question.
This is the interactive map. So if we click on it, so then you'll get this, and this is the distribution. So this.
But I'm afraid we still, at least I cannot see the screen.
You cannot see the screen? I make it. I made the screen. Okay, again. Host disabled participating because you didn't upgrade me, because I am. You need to.
Okay.
And share that.
Okay.
Okay. But
please try now. In the meantime, we have another question, so maybe you can address both questions together. Yes, Nina, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. So thank you so much for this really important work and really hard work that you are doing, and thanks for giving this talk. I was interested in one aspect that you were speaking on very briefly. I assume that the government is trying to prevent you from doing this to some degree, and especially probably also has an interest in trying to prevent civilians on reporting on these types of fatalities, and especially when, for example, human rights violations happen when people are taken in custody and so on. So could you tell us a little bit more about this? And do you find this that in some areas where the government has more access to the civilian population, that you have a harder time actually getting information on casualties and human rights violations? Are there specific measures that the government is taking to prevent people from sharing this information? That was my question. Thank you so much again.
Fazil, we can see the screen now.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. So this is an interactive map, and also here we can see this is the casualties. So this categorization, especially so this move daily death toll, here you can find all the reports since several years. This is the monthly report. You can find all. This is the thematic report related to this statement. So this all related to casualties only, and this is the arrest. So this is, if we click on any of this, you will find this is the daily report. Okay, moving to the interactive. So if you click on the map, then here each province and this perpetrator. So those the colors. This is the red, the Syrian regime. This is ISIS. This is the coalition. This is SDF. This is the PYD, Hayat Tahrir Sham. opposition, and this is here distributed year by year, by end of each year, and this is showing the conflict as well. This is here the province, and this is here distributed, okay, the perpetrator and gender, and this is here also a chart for the death toll, and this is all the perpetrator, the percentage, and all of that, and this one for the children death toll, and this is the female. And we no need to forget, but it's mentioned in my essay, the death toll due torture, who's died in the center detention, those who are detained and then died due torture. So this is and if you move also, there is our website for the news. This is this one that's moved due to news about casualties. You see, this is there is a categorization showing all of this is news, not reports. So we try daily to highlight that. Moving to the second question, of course, the regime is preventing and following and prohibited us from doing any work, and also prohibited even the COI, the Commission of Inquiry, to enter Syria, prohibited Human Rights Watch, everyone to who's like following the Syrian violation is being followed and being arrested. 3 of our members still disappeared till this moment. So this is the regime tactic and strategy. Even the regime prevented the media to enter Syria unless it's from his allies, not the human rights organization. We prevented ICRC from visiting the center of detention. So this is the regime tactic from the beginning until now.
Okay, so Professor, we got 3 more questions. There's another question from David about whether you only record civilian casualties. It's just the civilians.
Yeah, because you prevent me to continue my essay, and you
sorry about that.
are a big dictator. So I want to highlight this. It's written, and I hope that we can publish this essay soon. That we actually following and documenting only civilians. Due to why is that? Because it's we try to document the fighters, but it's I think almost impossible. And who is like publishing? You can see that in some news website or who's announcing this. I think this based not on strong methodology or even methodology at all. It's based on estimation, or someone told that okay, 5 or 15 from ISIS killed. How anyone can even know how many ISIS member or Syrian regime forces killed, or Hezbollah. The Syrian regime himself does not announce or publish or declare that, or ISIS as well. So it's or even maybe the easier one is the armed opposition group. But even though, because those were civilians, the vast majority of them then carried weapons. But even though there is difficulties, because also they are hiding their loss. They are not cooperating at all. It's difficult to also to contact with their families. They refused. If anyone contact with families from the Assad army, what they will say, they will refuse to, and we cannot trust what is the social media published. Some of those websites is relying on their news on the social media, what is published, and so okay, they have no credibility even if they are being quoted by media agency like AP or AFP or Reuters or whatever.
Okay, thank you so much for this. We have another question from Daniel. I read from your website that you also collect data on attacks against vital civilian facilities. I was actually about to ask this as well. So do you have any plans to make some of that data available on your website?
Actually, you know that this lecture is as we discussed before, to talking about only casualties.
Yeah.
Maybe in future we can like talk about other topics. Of course, we documenting not only casualties or disappeared, but only attacking against vital centers, using the different types of weapons. So we documenting several types of violation, displacement. We might organize other event and talking and highlighting other topics. But in our website, there is like I can share also the screen again, but there is actually a tremendous news and reports about, there is a monthly report about attacking against vital facilities, and that's been taking place several years ago, and it still exists. All of this on our website.
Yeah, because I think it's equally important to account for these attacks as well, because they have a long run effect. I mean, if the civilian facilities are destroyed in an attack, then other than actual people getting killed, the destruction of all these facilities will lead to the long-term effects. So I think it's very important to actually document that as well. So there's a question from Hamid. So do you face any limitations by being based outside of Syria, and how do you resolve these?
No, only me outside of Syria or some members. And it's by chance that I was here, and because I engage in the uprising at the early stage, and me myself against the brutal regime. But I graduated, and I was in Syria, but we left for work. But the team inside Syria, and some of them displaced to other province or area. Some of them are hiding. Some of them moved to the neighbor countries. We try to overcome this challenging as possible as we can. Of course, as I mentioned, there is like some area we are unable to cover. So this is also being written in the challenges. What we are documenting is the minimum level of, and those figures which the maps showing or the data reflecting is the minimum actually. And we do believe that the actual or the reality is far more, and that's what we are able to document due to the difficulties and limitation. We try as possible as we can to build a center bank for Syria and Syrian. It's not that easy actually. We keep following, and we're trying to do our best actually.
I see. Okay, we have another question about, I'm not sure if you would like to address this. So, who funds your work? Like,
no, that's also it's also on our website.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at it. Yeah.
transparent. So we are getting fund, and we are willing to get fund. We are getting from Germany, from Denmark, from state who is a democratic state, and not interfere to our work at all. We are in processing with also try to diversity our more diverse our fund. So we are in process with also getting from Netherlands as well.
I first have a question. Well, you said that the data that you collect, you revise it as you get more information about the same attack, right? So you get some initial information, and then maybe at some point you get some more information about the same attack, and you revise whatever that you have documented initially. So maybe could you reflect on this, that because you've been doing it for like 9 years now, so have you seen the gap actually narrowing down between the initial information that you receive about the civilian casualties, and then if you get any revised information about that? So have you observed like the gap is narrowing down? I'm just trying to make sense of how accurately you collect your data. I mean, you're working in a really challenging environment, so maybe that's one of the indicators to understand that uh, with the passage of time you actually have been able to more accurately getting information about people getting killed.
Thanks for your question, but I want to thanks first of all
Yeah.
Larry for his kind message, and our partner with the Airways. We are pleased and honored to work and to cooperate with you. We hope that we continue. And regarding your question, I think that you are totally right about the circumstances. I think that there is several point of strength in SNHR, and there is weakness as well. Weakness due to this complexity, and as I told you, the frustration, non-cooperation, all of that. The strength is the wide range of the relationship which is built. The second strength, I think that we have members with us working since continuously since 9, 8, 7 years. So the average is, and I think those are the heroes. Those are the believers in their work. So they didn't change. They stay. They believe in this work. So those are our key point of succeed, because they still carried and expand their experience, how to overcome, how to get the sense of the investigator, and to verify the source if this is hiding something, if it's lying. So they have now this this sense of the investigator. But I do think that there is some gaps, some mistakes. How much the percentage? I hope that it does not exceed 10 to 15% in the total database. When we reviewed the data this comprehensively, or following days, yeah, sometimes we are rectifying, sometimes we are adding information, but that's not in the measure scale. So it's still, I think it's not because it's our database, but I do believe it's a great job.
Okay, so maybe we can take the last question. We're running out of time now. So this is from Mike Spaggett. So how does your work fit with the work of other organizations like VDC or Syrian Human Rights Observatory?
I think that we are in coordinating with some organization, not all of them, organization, not a media website, who is categorized themselves or they have a human rights report. We are in coordinating with those organizations, maybe researcher on the ground, exchange information, and I think that we do need further platform of cooperation between the human rights organization in Syria.
Okay, so maybe we should close the session here. It's yeah, so we are right on time. Well, Fazil, I'd like to thank you first for sparing time for this, for this such an enlightening talk that you have given us. And we wish you good luck with your work in Syria in documenting whatever that is happening there. And yeah, so I'd also like to thank to all of the participants for sparing time for this. And just a quick announcement before we sign out, that on 9th of December, we will have our next seminar, webinar with Paul Ronan and Maya Mosley from Invisible Children. So they were the part of Every Casualty's recent study on conformance to the casualty recording standards. So there were casualty recording standards which were published back in 2016, and then a follow-up report was undertaken last year to see, there was a pilot study of 4 organizations to see how much of their work actually conformed those casualty recording standards. So we'll host Paul and Maya on 9th of December, and I'll circulate the Zoom link through the email. And so with this, we come to the end. This session is recorded, and this will be shared with the CRN members. And yeah, so hope to see you next time. So thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Thank you, and have a good day. All the best.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.